So it says,
Okay.
leave meeting or got it. Touch
Got
got
it.
it? Got
Yep.
it.
Okay.
Okay.
So we are good to go. We are here. It's 8 o'clock. Welcome to What's the 411, everybody. We're super excited because we have special guest, author Ionie Bonnie, who is here with us. And we're ready to get right into it, jump right into the full scoop that Miss Bonnie is going to give us. So how about you just start off? Please introduce yourself. Let us know who you are, what you do, and all of the great things that you're involved with.
I always keep a positive attitude. I am pro-life, which means I respect and defend all life forms, including animals of every kind and humanity of every race. I live for decency and justice. I came to Canada in my 20s after high school, so my English was limited and is still limited, but much better because of that age. I pretty much formed my language from my culture. With the help of the many teachers on YouTube, I'm able to speak English with more confidence today. The Almighty uses people in many different ways without them even knowing. I wanted to contribute to Canada, to Canadian society in a significant way, because this is where I got my highest level of education. Regardless of how much I educated myself, I was dealt with in the most despicable way. I pursued a legal career, and even though I was qualified for all the jobs I was assigned, I was used in various ways. And one of them was to teach employees my job, then thrown out only to job search again. In one of my jobs in 2006, working in the law department of a bank, I could not take the exploitation anymore. So I walked off the job. I went home, stripped myself naked as the day I was born, and screamed for Jesus like my intestines were coming through my mouth. And lo and behold, his voice comforted me by saying, I am going to do battle for you. My journey with the Creator started from then. You know, just like Moses, who had to endure the harshness of the desert that he was thrown into and survived, to physically and mentally strengthen him, I had to endure the harshness of Canadian society to be perfected for the real job he has for me. And guess what? I am going to have many followers. For all the revolutionaries out there who are currently fighting for justice, freedom, and equality are going to join me. My book on Amazon, called My Journey from Jesus Christ to the Almighty Black Power that creates and destroys, explains everything about the Creator and will answer a lot of questions.
Mhm. And that's deep. I mean, when I
Yes.
met you, I definitely did grab the book. And as we were talking the other day, I mentioned I never read the entirety
The
of
time.
the information that I have before I interview the individual because I want the conversation to be truly authentic. So
Yes.
when I did start to read your book, I realized that you've been through a lot. You
Oh my
definitely have
gosh. Way a
had a
lot.
lot
A
of
lot.
experiences. So, talk
Yes.
to us about the importance of that period of time, that moment when you were able to walk off the job and then getting
Yes.
home and taking your stuff off and just saying, you know what, this is it. This is what
Yes.
I have to do. How did that make you
Yes.
feel?
Oh, I never expected that I would have met this type of treatment in Canada, because I had many friends who left Jamaica and they came here and they were not going through what I went through. And so when I screamed and Jesus came, it shows me that he was there all the time. I would have been dead. The things I've been through in my life, from a teenage year, until now, I met him and I'm going through training right now. He's training me how to pray. He's training me, how to fast. And he's led me to many people, they gave me things that I didn't even realize. That it was in sequence with everything that he's teaching me. It's amazing. And
Hmm.
I know I have something to do for him and I can't wait. He taught me also how to eat. I had to stop eating flesh and eat from the plant kingdom in order to rejuvenate my body. And I am seeing a lot of changes in my body. And I feel the energy I have now. When I was young, I never had that. So, things are working. And I feel good to know that the creator is in my corner, So,
For sure.
and I have to be, I'm being taught disciplined. And one of the things that he stressed is that, there's nobody else that looks the way he created man. And what he's looking for now is decency and justice. And all the races will be included in this. Because the bottom line is the spirit cannot change. It's just the flesh that changes. And he's going to bring it back to immortality for the ones who are crossing over. So I'm looking forward to people of all races and nations joining and, getting ready to embrace this great power that created all things.
Fabulous. And so what inspired you to actually start this documentary, start writing down the experiences that you were having?
When Jesus appeared to someone, it means that person has to carry out a mission for him. Some of the people whom he used in olden days were Moses and Joshua, Abraham, Sarah, Jonah, Joseph. Jonah even ran away. He was so scared, These were all from the Hebrew race, which was his chosen people. I realized that I would have died even before I got to Canada if he had not been in my life. I have documented the many times he protected me from people who hunted me. And the same voice I heard then and now is the same. It was not so much about me, because if I had not seen him, I would not have written my autobiography. Are you okay?
Yeah, and that
Okay.
definitely, no, I just wanted to, I'm right by a window here and there was
Oh, the
some
wind was
noise
blowing.
coming out, so I
Okay,
said,
I
let
heard
me
it too. Okay.
close the window.
So after 2006, many people were involved in my journey in order for me and this book to be perfected so the whole world would be ready for him. I remember when I began writing who he was, he started writing. I started writing in my own words, and he corrected me and spoke through my mouth. When describing him, he began by saying, I am, instead of he is. The world should be aware that Armageddon is the real, Armageddon is real, and Jesus of Nazareth is the Antichrist. And the book will tell you why he's the Antichrist. If you read the book, you will know that the name Christ is a made-up name by the Catholic Church. Now the whole world is bowing down to this name. All the people calling on Christ today are being persecuted. Churches are being burnt and much more. And even worse, the persecutors, the tyrants of this world are all calling on him, and they're safe. Now, what happened to the people throughout the world, the poor people, who have no one to defend them? But, there are revolutionaries out there that are, defending us, and I really appreciate them. And they're decent people, and later on we will talk about them.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and that's really important because the seriousness of having that responsibility,
Yes.
right? Just like Joshua, just like Moses, just like Jonah. That's a huge responsibility to ensure that they are doing that you are doing what needs to be done.
Yes.
So how does that make you feel?
Well, I'm not afraid because I know he's with me, but I know that I am going to be discussed. I remember when Moses went to Aaron and said, the Creator sent me to go to the Romans. And he said to Moses, Aaron said, who are you that he should choose you? You left here so long ago and now you came back and you're saying that, the Creator sends you, so I'm going to be discussed. But the thing is that I know that Jesus is with me. He's with me all the way. And he usually chooses the poor people. he chooses the poor people throughout the earth. So, and I'm one of them, as I am poor, but his voice makes me rich. I feel that, I can feel him, I can see him, I can hear him. And he's always with me. So I'm depending on him. So, if there's a force out there that believes that, okay, we can take her down, you have to pass through the creator to get to me, because it's not who is in front of me, but who is in me that is taking me through. And I want to do a good job for him.
Okay. Very, very powerful. No, it's extremely, extremely powerful stuff. Mm-hmm. Why are telling these stories so important? Yeah. You have taken it upon yourself to share with us the importance of this journey that you're on. Talk to us about the significance.
Okay, stories are the best ways to get things across to people throughout the world, whether we put them in the form of books or we stand on platforms and reiterate them to the world. I remember Jesus saying, when I told people this story, I should not brag. I should just give the message with honesty and decency and leave the rest to him. This creation has to be destroyed. It is not his wish to kill his creation. He's bringing about a revival in the hearts of man, because he has to destroy this world, this old world, through volcanic eruptions to bring back a new earth for the fourth generation to live on. Those who do not believe will be killed and sent to a place of punishment, because the philosophy of this old world will not be carried across to infiltrate the fourth generation. He will be with them, so they will know him, and his laws will be followed. The Creator commanded Moses to take the Hebrew nation into the desert, and for 40 years, he allowed them to reproduce. Then he killed them, for he wanted their descendants to take across to the promised land. He killed them, for their hearts were after the things of Egypt, and they were not to infiltrate the minds of the ones he chose. I remember watching this journalist called Alex Jones on brand new Tube. He said that Hollywood is coming out with a movie where a Black Jesus is coming to save the world. When he made that statement, I was in shock, because here the Almighty is further proving to me that whatever he said to me about his return through Armageddon is really true. Jesus further said that there is no one left that looks the way he created the original flesh. So what he's looking for in humanity is the decent and the just. He commanded me to look for the spirit in man, for the voice of man is a representative of the spirit in man. If the spirit leaves the body will not move, and this is what we call death. So then the flesh dies, it has to be buried or it stinks. The flesh goes back to the dirt of the ground, and the spirit that cannot physically die goes to the spiritual world of either life or death. The spiritual world of death is what we call hell, and it is terrible, for the punishment of the damned will never end. My mission is to get humanity ready for his appearance, just as he sent Jonah to Nineveh.
Getting ready for his appearance.
Yes.
Huge, huge. So you're talking to us about getting yourself ready and all of these different things. Obedience is a must when it comes to the Lord, and following his, doctrine or whatever his instructions. How talk to us about your discovery. Like, you came upon this information and then you had to be obedient. So talk to us about that.
And I was punished many times for disobedience, because sometimes it was just so hard, and I wanted to end it. And he said to me, I wound and I bind up. It wasn't easy. I have done quite a bit of fasting and petitioning about his revelation to me that I did not understand. For 5 years, he sent me into people's homes to gather this information through books and he corrected them as well. For example, there was a Christian pastor who spoke on the topic of the spiritual world of life and death. Others talked about melanin, which is the blackness of the universe, while others handed me books that I never asked for, but they were in line with his message. You see, so for 5 years, I've been going from homes to homes to homes, and it's like it would never end. So now that the book is ready and is out, it's on Amazon, that I'm a little bit more stable. But everywhere that he sent me before the book was written, it's just there's a learning curve there for me. And I'm not a saint. I've done a lot of terrible things in my life, but he favored me to take this message to the world after cleansing me. And I'm still cleansing. I'm still in the cleansing process.
So how long has the journey been from the time, I guess, that you walked away from that job till now?
From 2006 until now, and it's still going. It's still going on, and he's really communicating with me, and it gives me peace and strength to know that he's still with me. Mm-hmm. So yeah, but it's quite a while.
Yeah, definitely quite the journey.
And as I said before, I'd asked him, I said, I just want to be left alone. This is too much for me. And he said, I won't, and I bind up. So, I'm feeling better. He's there, and he's answering me. He's listening to me. So I really feel good. Yeah.
That's huge, because it's not an easy task.
No, it's
not an easy task being obedient and trying to follow along, knowing what's right, and just sticking to the task at hand. It's not easy.
It's not. My mother used to call me a rebellious child. And now meeting the Almighty, and he's demanding and commanding me, and I'm saying, Lord, leave me alone. I don't want this. It's too much for me. But when he chooses someone, you can't say no, because he knows why. And you've been chosen from the beginning of time. And sometimes when you're going through storms, this spirit that we call the devil, he knows you from the beginning of time. The Creator does not hide anything from anyone. And he's tried to take you out. And he tried many, many times to take me out. You see, so all of that is just to strengthen me also, So I am stronger. And now I'm looking ready to go out. If the Creator should say to me now, do you still want to go? Or I don't want to use you. This is so disappointing because I'm really ready now to go out for him,
All right. Yeah. And that's huge. And I like the way that you said that you're still, putting in that work. You're still being disciplined. You're still learning, because it's a lifelong journey. As you grow in life, you continuously change. Things are happening. So I love that you put that out there for anybody that may be embarking upon their journey, just so that they understand that it's not a one and done. It's something that you're continuously working on, and it's hard.
It's very, very hard. Very, very hard. And sometimes I got so rough and so angry, and I was punished. I was punished, just like Jonah was punished. I was punished, And then I got back on track, and things are nice again. This power is really amazing. Really, really amazing. So now I am older and wiser. I was trained, and I'm cleaning, and I feel better, and I'm ready to go out to get the world together so that we can be prepared for him. He's
got an activist right here, guys, right here from Toronto, Ontario, Canada. Right, we've got our very own activist that is working for the Almighty, and we're excited. We're here for it. We're here for it.
Yes, everyone. He's coming for the decent and the just of all races. Because they called us black, but we are really brown. I'm looking at myself now, and I can see brown skin, dark brown. No one looks the way he created man. So he's choosing the decent and the just, and that body will come back.
Hmm. Okay, so talk to us about influence. Talk to us about the influence of social media, of TV, of
Hmm.
radio, of all of that stuff. Talk to us
Hmm.
about it.
Well, social media, TV, etc., it's the best way to communicate. It's the best avenue to communicate with people all over the world. And other than putting your books on like other than publishing books or standing on platforms, I think it's the best way to reach people throughout the world. And some of the ways, there are also revolutionaries like Alex Jones and Owen Schroyer from Brand New Tube, and you have the Health Ranger. Uh, they are the ones that are also fighting for the rights of human beings, and I really respect those guys. So there are different ways that we can send messages to people, and social media is one of the best ways.
Yeah, it
Yeah,
definitely is. We could definitely use social media for
yeah,
positive. And sometimes we do see different things coming from social media, but we
yeah.
definitely have to use our impact in the way that we can
Yes,
to influence
yes.
the world in the
To
right way.
influence the world. Yeah.
Hmm. So talk about your experience because you came here, you came from Jamaica.
Hmm.
Talk to us a bit about that experience coming from Jamaica, coming to Canada, and
Hmm.
where you are right now, the transition.
Okay, I remember when I left Jamaica, there was a hurricane,
Hmm.
and Jamaica was devastated, and I was in that part of Jamaica that was blown to pieces.
Was it Wild
Um,
Gilbert?
Gilbert, that's
Oh my
Gilbert.
gosh, I know the song. It just came in my
That's
mind right as you were
Gilbert.
saying it. You
That's
know the song.
Gilbert.
What? How does it
Yes.
go? I there was a song that was made, right?
But I can't remember. I couldn't even
Hold
remember the
on.
name.
I know the song. Something
Yeah.
about blouse and skirt. Wah
Yeah.
wah. Wild Gilbert, right? Yeah,
That
I know that song.
yes. So I had a cousin. I remember I was going to the gym
So hold on,
before.
no, I have to stop you because you need to talk to us about that song because that song, I remember me and my brothers and sisters listening to that and we are like, whoa, you lose your pants and you lose your skirt, something
You
like
lose your
that,
pants
right?
and skirt and all of that.
Yeah,
Yes.
so talk to us about that hurricane, living through hurricanes, because here in Canada, like we
Mm-hmm.
don't experience, especially in Toronto, we don't really experience that. So
Yeah.
talk to us about that.
It was terrible. That was my first experience as my mother told me that in 1955 or something like that, there was a hurricane that blew down all the houses on the
Mm,
mountain where we live because I'm from the country, you know. So that was my first experience of a hurricane, and it we were it's like because I was so young, I didn't know the real impact of a
hmm.
hurricane. But in the first half, it wasn't so bad. But then they said we're going to get the tail now, and that blew down everything. Food was scarce. I remember the only thing we had to eat was like tin mackerel. You know tin mackerel, right? The red
Hmm.
one in the
Yeah.
tin. Rice with rice or dumplings. And after a while, I just couldn't stand that food anymore. Then
Hmm.
my cousin came and saw the situation that Jamaica was in. And she said, I'm going to try to get you up. Well, she came and she did her the documents and everything. And she brought me here. But then, she knew I never had anything to work with in Canada, like a social insurance or stuff. So she introduced me to this strip club.
Hmm.
And she said to me, I'll be your manager. Well, to me, she wanted to be my pimp. So I said, this is not for me. And I heard her friends telling her, with the body that she has, you will make a lot of money off her.
Mm-mm.
So I was planning on coming back home. And I was on my way downtown when somebody on the train screamed my name. And when I turned around, it was a classmate from high school in Jamaica. And I told her my problem, and she said, I'm coming to get you this evening. She said, I just rented a basement apartment. I'm looking for someone to share with, and I don't trust anyone, but I know you from high school, and I'm coming to get you. And she came the same night. I didn't even say goodbye to my cousin. I just left because I thought she was terrible. I mean, you brought me here in such a huge continent. I mean, Jamaica is just a drop in the bucket, and you treated me like this. You're treating me like a stranger, and I wouldn't even treat a stranger the way you're treating me. You know, one day, and it got me so mad. We were all having breakfast around the table. And even though we were all relatives, she came in the kitchen and said, Ionie, I can't feed you anymore because I was not giving in to being a strip dancer and her being my pimp. So I left, and I never called again. I thought she was rude, and she had a daughter that was 17 years younger than I. So why don't you send your daughter? Why me? And the thing is that you have to call and the Creator for him to answer you. You have to call. I went through hell throughout Canada and even from Jamaica, and he never answered. I could see that there was some power protecting me, but I didn't hear the voice until I screamed on my last job, working in a law firm. Well, it was a bank with a law department in it. And the way they treated me, I walked off the job and went home, and I screamed, as I said, like my intestines were coming through my mouth. And he kept saying, I'm going to do battle for you. I'm going to do battle for you. And he's still doing battle for me today. So, to go through all the things that happened from high school until now, I'd have to write about many series of books, I can tell you. I was fired from some of the jobs in Jamaica because I didn't want the manager. But the thing is that, and this is what I want to stress to people, and is that you cannot get his help unless you call him, call his name. And he's satisfied with calling him the Almighty or Jesus. If you call him Christ, he's not going to answer. He's not Christ. He's the creator of heaven and earth. He's the Almighty, and he lives in the body of the flesh of Jesus of Nazareth. And that is why he could bring himself back from the dead when the Romans killed him. He could come back from the dead because this is the creator of heaven and earth that lives, and not even Jesus' parents knew that this was someone special in their son that they gave birth to. You see?
And so how do we, because obviously, many of us were taught a different doctrine, right? So
Yes.
How did you come to this understanding? Because was this something that you were taught originally, or is this something that you learned?
No, all Jamaicans call themselves Christians. And I remember I used to call on Christ also, and God and Lord and Jehovah. But when I came here and in training, he taught me that these are the names that the exiled spirits call on. They use these names in order to get worship. You drop them in one and you still praise them in the other. So it is important that you call. If you are in doubt, just call on the creator of heaven and earth. And he's satisfied with that. But he's not going to answer to Christ or to Lord. The last pope that stepped down from the Vatican, he said one of the reasons, and I listened to him, it was as if the Lord was sleeping. And to me, that means he wasn't getting any answer. If you, in the British Parliament, There is a House of Lords there, and they all have the name Lord in front of their name, like Lord William, Lord this or that. And they challenge whatever law they make. And I'm sure that if people call them these lords, they would be answered. But they're calling on Lord in the churches, and they're not getting any answers. And it is because the Almighty is not satisfied with people calling him these names. You know, there's a book, if you go on any one of the search engines and you type in, you know, the Catholic Church that created Christ, you know, you will see many, many documents. He is not Christ. Christ is a made-up name. And even sometimes now I'm struggling with, you know, because it is so embedded in me, because it's a part of my culture to call on Christ. Sometimes I even say, if I'm scared, I say, oh my God, you know, and I'm sure a lot of people say that, but then I corrected myself and I said, you know, Almighty. But there's things that I am struggling with myself, and not until I call on the correct name, because people are going to praise Christ. If he helps, if you're for him, he's going to make sure you're not hurt. He's going to protect you, but not until you call on the right name will you be answered. So I've developed a pattern to call on the name, even though I'm still slipping, and you know, with all the many different names that we learned through Christianity. So yeah, it's hard, especially, you know, from a culture that you have to change from. You know, you have to change from being a Christian, and I have no denominations right now. I just Sabbath at home on Saturdays, and that's how I do it. I'm not going to congregate with the world worshiping Lucifer. And the people who call on these names, the tyrants also call on these names, and they're being answered, you know. So I'm not going to call on a God that the tyrants call on. I'm not going to call on them. No. I am just going to continue, and I'm getting answers. And pretty soon, he's going to show himself to the world. Pretty soon. So I'm trying to get the world to realize that, look, the Creator does exist. And you know what? Everyone's going to be in love with him so much. This is a decent, a just revolutionary. He's decent and just. And he's stressed on give respect to get respect. Mm-hmm. You know, so I mean, we're gonna love him. I love him so much, and can't wait for you to be in his midst physically warring with him against the tyrants of this world. And now that they're coming out with so many biological weapons to kill humanity, this is the time, Third World War, that he's going to step in. But I'm praying for all the revolutionaries out there, because I know Alex Jones' life is threatened. And this is a guy that loves humanity. And I'm just praying that the Almighty will protect him until he comes to know the real name to call on, to protect all his people out there, because he's looking for the decent and the just. And these guys are some of the decent ones.
Mm-hmm. And so, like, first of all, thank you so much for going in depth as well, because it's important for us to understand, you know, where you're coming from.
Yes.
But so, like, help us to understand the biblical aspect of everything, because in the Bible we're seeing a lot of, I don't know, like, what would you say about the Bible?
Well, one of the first books that I got that he
Mm-hmm.
sent me to an area to get a study Bible of King James study Bible. And everything, he changed it up so much that I saw the Bible as a weapon of destruction. Yes, it is a weapon of destruction. I mean, first of all, not everything was changed, but most of it was changed. It tells you that, and this is true, in the beginning, there was nothing but darkness. And then there were lots of explosions. Now, this blackness is what is causing these explosions, because we're having explosions even today in the universe. And, you know, blackness is being construed as something horrible. Every time we talk about something horrible, we describe it as being black. Now, the Almighty does not feel pain, but he feels emotions. And he's saddened by the way that people are describing him. You know, he's a spirit in the original form, and nothing moves without a spirit. You see, when the clouds rise into the atmosphere, into the heavens, if the blackness does not penetrate them, you don't get rainfall. You know, and sometimes it turns into hurricanes, tornadoes, and stuff like that. And the darker they are, the more powerful they are. You see, so the Almighty is saddened by the names that we're calling him. And I don't know where we got this from, but, you know, the Bible is one of them to be blamed for this. But many of them, they said, the Bible said at the beginning, you know, Adam and Eve, this God never wanted Adam and Eve to eat a certain fruit because they would know good from evil. Now, it doesn't make sense that the Creator is coming to kill humanity that are indecent and unjust, and he never wanted them to know right from wrong. It doesn't make sense. Why would he come to kill a group of people that is doing the wrong things? You didn't want us to know right from wrong because what? You're afraid that we're going to be comparable to you in power, in knowledge? Why didn't you want that? So it doesn't make sense.
That's super important as you're mentioning it, because of course, whether you're a Christian or you're Anglican or you're this or that, whatever your denomination is, you do a lot of times reverence the Bible. We go back and we are, singing our quotes, and we're hearing our, songs and everything, and we take it word for word, right?
Yes, yeah.
And then so we see a lot of the times this is where the confusion is going to come in.
Yes.
With Jesus and God being two different, entities, because that's how we were kind of taught, and that's what the Bible kind of shows us, that they're not one and the same, that they're different. And then also, like, there's a lot of confusion. So what would you say about Revelation?
Well, Revelation is going to give us exactly what our beliefs and whatever we don't understand. Revelation is it's going to it's going to clear up all that we don't understand. All that we don't understand.
Okay.
And this. Go ahead.
No, I was going to ask you about the end of times then, because
yes, This is going to, whatever is going on now in society, with all these vaccines and killing of the races, and well, they're not going after a special race now. It's like all the races. It's going to conclude into Armageddon, because now they have nuclear weapons that can take out. I mean, China is threatening America with a bomb, nuclear, that can take out all of America. The Creator is not going to allow that. This is his creation, and he's not going to allow that. So he's here now. He's just to show himself to the world, but he wants to get people ready to see him and to acknowledge that, look, he is the creator of heaven and earth. And he's coming in the body of Jesus of Nazareth. Out of that body is a spirit. You see, and when he created the world, there was no God up there saying, let there be light, let there be this, put the sun in a different part of the world, or of the heavens, or whatever. There's no such thing. It's just so silly to me now that I know the truth. It's just so silly. There are many explosions up there. Even now in deep space, there are always explosions, and I don't know where they got this. If you look at a volcano erupting from space, you will see sparks like stars. You see, and it's all those explosions that are in the universe right now that, sometimes you see, some people say we see a flying star or something, running star or something like that. It's just explosions. It's always going on in space. Now, where did King James get this notion that he's saying, let there be this and let there be that? And no. This black power, we are living in total blackness. If it weren't for the sun, we would be in total blackness. And the sun is up there just spinning. If it stops, then it falls right through the black hole. It falls right through, and there are tons of black holes up there that are these explosions they come out of, and if they stop spinning, just like a mother that gave birth and a child dies, have to bury the child. There is this American scientist called Hawkins, can't remember the first name, and he said that all things came out of the black holes in the universe, all things. And he is one of them that I respect a lot. And this revelation that he gave, the Almighty, seconded. It is true. It is true.
So you had mentioned a little bit earlier in the interview that he's getting ready, or he's preparing to come for us to meet him.
Yes.
When do you think that's going to happen? Do you have any idea? Do you know?
Well, any time now. He's just ready. He's getting ready. He's just waiting for the tyrants to take their best shot. They haven't given their best shot yet. The vaccine is nothing. The nuclears are the one he's waiting for. And he's going to walk right through that with all the revolutionaries behind him. You're going to see people follow him like pups following their master, We're going to follow him because he's living nuclear, the Almighty. He's nuclear.
So he's
with
everything.
all,
Yeah.
He's everything with all those explosions going on in the universe.
Yeah.
He's all things. So he's just waiting for them to take their best shot.
That's scary, and like there's a lot all at the same time, because with what's going on in the world, you're like, wow, best shot.
Yeah.
Like, what's going on here? Like,
yeah. There are lots of threats. on the states and the nations fighting against nations. But one thing that the Creator said, and is that the tyrants, even though they're fighting now, they're going to come together to fight the Creator when He comes. Sure. All of them will reunite for this great war called Armageddon, and He cannot lose. And you have to take a side. You can't say, well, I'm not into the war. I'm just going to sit back and watch what's going to happen. You have to take a side. Is either you take the side of the tyrants or the side of the Almighty. But you can't be neutral in this.
One or the other.
It can't be one or the other.
Well, I mean, it's true because the Lord, the Almighty is right. He's pretty plain and simple. It's either right or it's wrong. So you either are with me or you're against me.
Or you're not. Yeah. So, I mean, He called back Lazarus from the grave. And so the tyrants who murdered him, like the Romans, they are going to come back. He's going to call them all back. It's not, when they died, that wasn't the end for them. They're coming to stand and to look on the face of Jesus of Nazareth that they all killed. They're coming back.
Judgment Day, right?
And judgment is judgment. When I think about it, I get goosebumps, but I'm telling you, it's real. It is real. And He's just waiting for them now to just take their best shot, which is the nuclears they're coming with.
Wow.
Yeah.
So, how do you give us your prediction on what you think is going to happen? Do you know a time frame? Do you think, is there a certain tell or an indication as to when you think the time might be ripe?
Well, other than the nuclear war that they're coming with, other than that, I don't see any others, because this is going to be the worst. This is what's going to take out mankind. This is what is going to take out the world, and the Creator cannot afford that to happen. This is what's going to take out the whole world. So he's getting ready for that. He's here walking among us, watching, and He will speed things up or He will slow it down according to the people that He's getting ready. He can speed it up, slow it down, but hell is going. You're going to see hell on earth. On earth. Sometimes when I think about it, I tremble when I think about what's going to happen. So King James has revelation going. Yeah, that is true. He's not a lamb. People seem to be looking, the Christian community seem to be looking for a lamb coming to represent us. He's a warrior, a revolutionary. There's no lamb there. He humbled Himself in the beginning to come to represent us, to give us the laws. And He came in the body of a man that was made, of a flesh that was made by a male and a female. And He lived among the poor so that they could communicate with Him. If He came, they wouldn't kill Him. Caesar would run away. The Romans would not have touched Him at all. So,
so one thing that I definitely have found extremely interesting in reading the different stories of the Bible, even though now I just feel like I don't even know. But anyways, reading those different stories, I've realized that there was a community, there was a people that belonged to the Lord. Is that true?
Yes, the Hebrew race.
Okay.
The Hebrew race. And they're Africans.
Okay. And so what happened? What was that breakdown? Because we see that
Mhm.
there was some sort of disconnect that continuously
Yes.
happened throughout the years.
Yes.
Um, what was it?
Well, you know something? Jesus came in order to revive the Black race. Because when he came, the Romans captured Africa, conquered it, and not
Mm,
only Africa, but all of Europe, right back to Great Britain. The Romans did. And so he came right at that time to give the people his laws.
mhm.
And he was seen as a troublemaker. And when they questioned him, you know, he talked about truth. Caesar didn't even know what truth was. He talked about truth. And so, because he was seen as a troublemaker, because he went against the laws of the Roman Empire that conquered his people in North Africa and threw them out into the desert, he came with a law to revive them. But they also wanted to go back to Egypt after a while, when he told Moses to take them into the desert where they could worship him on the mountain. And what he did, he killed them. He waited until they reproduced, and then he killed them, because their philosophy was not to be carried across to the fourth generation. And they were too involved with the Romans. I mean, Africans, I don't know why they take on, other races take on the Hebrew race, because the sins of our forefathers, that's what got us into trouble and got us transferred from, or taken brutally from Africa into slavery.
But
And
what
that
was
is
the
also in the
sin?
Bible.
What was the iniquity? Because there had to have been
Okay.
some iniquity that has caused our us to look at where we are today.
Yes.
There's got to be something that is being passed
Number
down generation
one,
to generation.
yes, generationally, yes.
Yes.
And there were a lot of our people who were worshiping idols,
Okay.
right? Idol
Yeah.
worshiper, that's one of the gravest sins you can ever imagine. And a black person, Judas was black. Judas sold him to the Romans for
Hmm.
30 pieces of silver. And during slavery, it's like a curse on the African race. You know, it's like we were cursed. The Africans also sold us into slavery way after Jesus came and left. They sold us into slavery. And you
You
know
know
what
what?
they
You
called us
just
today?
touched on such a big point right there. You just touched on something really huge, because sometimes we look back and we're trying to trace our history and we don't understand
Yes,
how things happen. But look at the
exactly.
origin of slavery right there. But I mean, was it different before? Because before Jesus' time, there were slaves as well.
Yes, but they were not like beaten
Tortured.
and
Yeah.
underfed and overworked. There are some of the pharaohs who had slaves,
Hmm.
but they worked in the house. They called them slaves. They worked in the palaces, but they could marry like one of the pharaoh's sons.
Right, right, right. True, true, true.
You know, they
Yeah.
were not. It was not like this kind of slavery that our forefathers were in this part of the
Hmm.
world.
Hmm.
And we seem to be blaming the slave masters, but our people played a big part in slavery.
Hmm.
And even now they're selling their children into sex slavery and collecting money. So the African race is doomed. If you notice, is not helping them. Because even though they threw us out, the colonizers still went in to them and went in and treated them badly.
Hmm.
You see. So he left us up to our own will, but those who call on him will be saved. But I can tell you, Africa is going to get rid of a lot of Africans, a lot. They're big time sellouts. And he said that he puts his spirit into every nation in the many different kinds of flesh, because our own people did not call on him because they were into so many idols, worshiping idols. So, like, there were men in England who fought against the slave trade, and he said he sent his spirit into the many nations, being born from different nations, different people, different mothers, not just Black people, to do his will. If it weren't for those people who fought against slavery, none of us would be left today. None of us. So I am not here trying to praise the Black race. We've done a lot of bad things, and we're being paid, the Almighty is just chastising us for what we've done to him. But he said, if you call on me with all your heart, I will answer you. 98% of Africans are Christians. The Creator is not about religion. He's into the spirit. Religion is temporal. The spirit is eternal.
Christianity definitely was something that was created, but a lot of, even if you research it, that the Africans and a lot of other countries, because the slave trade, we were sent to all dispersed
All over the
all
world.
around.
Yeah.
Right? But when you actually trace back the origin of religions and all worship, the Africans brought their idolatry worship all over the world.
Yes.
So that idolatry worship is everywhere. It's in Cuba, it's in Trinidad, it's in Jamaica, it's in all of the West Indies, and then it goes across to North America. Like it's everywhere, because we ended up everywhere. You know what I mean?
Everywhere. Yeah.
So I think from all of the stories that I've read in the book, it shows the biggest problem that we've had as a race is idol worship.
Yes.
That's drawn us the furthest away.
Some of the Africans willingly sold their children into slavery because they were worshiping this Baal, where they would burn their children a certain time of the year as offerings to this Baal, this idol. And some of them willingly sold their children into slavery because they said at least they would be alive. So
I can imagine what could have been going on at that time. Yeah, you want to do the right thing, and then especially for individuals who are raised in that culture.
Yeah.
You don't always necessarily know what you're doing is wrong until there's a certain point where the Almighty actually does come to each and every one of us individually. And so we do recognize him. And at that point, again, it's that choice. Are we choosing him, or are we choosing the flesh?
Yeah, because I walked away from my culture when I found him. I walked away, and my brother today, when you talk about him, he talks about Jah and all of that, So, well, to each his own. My mother said to me before she died, she said, I cannot take you with me. You have to find God for yourself. In those days, she called him God. When she died, she called him God. And up to that time, I also called the Creator a God, you see. So she said, I cannot take you with me. You have to find him for yourself. But she never forced us to go to a church. She never forced us. And so when I attended a church in my young years and they wanted to baptize me, I would just slip away from there, just get out. It wasn't for me. I just got out of there in a very nice way, So no, I am glad she wasn't a mother that said, look, if you can't worship my God, you have to get out of my house. She wasn't that type of mother. She just said to me, you have to find him yourself. I cannot take you where I'm going. And my mom died from cancer. And I remember I prayed. I said, Jesus, I was in high school. I said, Jesus, can you please take her? I cannot care for her because I'm going to school. And the same night I prayed, it was the same night that she died. And her spirit came back to me and said, I'm not sick anymore. And she was plump, she was plump, and she was, when she came back, she was just like that. And she was in a dress, floral dress. She loved floral, many colors, yellow, blue, whatever. And she came back and she said, I'm not sick anymore. And she was singing to Jesus and working. So I know she went to a really good place. I know that she's waiting to come back to help with creation.
Peaceful. Very, 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 very important. So talk to us about your inspiration, not only behind writing the book, but behind continuing to keep going, keep pressing forward.
Okay. Well, the fact that I know that he's with me all the way, that is what inspires me to continue with writing and speaking to people. Some people, he never said go out now and preach to people, but I'm trying to get through to them through social media and the books I have on Amazon. I have 2 books on Amazon. One is about menstruation, and one is about this great Black power that I came to know. And a lot of people, a lot of Christians, and the young people too, they turn aside from it. They don't like the fact that I'm saying the Almighty. But if he's the creator and the destroyer, he is the Almighty, and he is satisfied with me calling him that name. So when I talk about him to people, I refer to that name, you see. But the fact that he's with me and he's guiding me, that is what inspired me to keep going. And he calls himself also the Antichrist. Yes, he is. Jesus of Nazareth is the Antichrist. Because Christ is a made-up name by the Catholic Church. And Christ is here getting all the praise and worship because of what this evil has done to us, tricked us into believing that Christ is the creator of heaven and earth. So he's the Antichrist that's coming, because in the Bible, it tells you that the Antichrist is coming with great powers. I mean, who can have more power than the creator of heaven and earth? No one can.
Definitely a lot of confusion in and around everything that we've been taught. So it's always good to get the ball almost rolling for ourselves to try to start thinking outside of the norm and the regular.
Yeah. Some people might ask me, why you? Who are you? Why didn't he choose someone else? If he had chosen you or someone else out there, they would ask the same question. We're all people created by him, and I am into him like nothing, nothing else. I mean, I love him. I meditate on him. I try to, if I'm cooking, I ask him to help me too. There's nothing that I do that I don't ask Jesus to step in and help me. So, I sleep him, eat him, drink him, talk him, walk him, and when you're into him like that, he will possess you, So, I'm just encouraging everyone to just call on him, form a relationship with him. It doesn't matter what race or class or color you are. He said, there's no one on this earth that looks the way he created man anymore. No one. So he's looking for the decent and the just. Don't be afraid to call on him. Call on him. And watch evil runs. If we don't, we cannot fight them because they don't have flesh. The spirits that he threw out of the spiritual world of life, they do not have flesh. They're spirits. And they live in us. Sometimes people say bad things to me. And the next day, I see them. It's like they've never said anything. Because it wasn't them. It wasn't them. We cannot fight. They live in the bodies of people. And they set us up and try to kill us. If they can destroy all humanity and creation, the Creator would not come here.
Well, I mean, it makes sense. That's why, when he came, he told us, don't worry about how many times we are to forgive each other, that we just have to continuously forgive each other, because we really don't know what's really behind it and what's happening.
Yeah.
And why he himself said, I don't know. Now I just feel conflicted in my mind. The first thought that came to my mind was, forgive them, Father, for they know not what they do.
Know what they do.
So at the end of the day, I understand the concept, but more research, of course, and inquisitiveness, definitely, to go into that. But talk to us about your books. Talk to us what you have on Amazon right now, and how we can purchase them.
Okay, I have 2 children's books on there, and the 2 most important ones are about menstruation and about this great Black power that we need to know and we need to communicate with, because it's very much alive. And it explains everything that women have been going through because of the church, because of religion. If I put a passage in there from the King James Bible where it says women are, I have my book here, but it says women are unclean during their period. And not only that, but the Quran also said you have to lock them off, not in so many words, but they are not, if you go to a woman during her period, you're unclean also, and you have to be locked away. They can't pray. But this God that created a female, just like the universe, to reproduce, is going to say you can't pray to him during your period. He created us like that. The book is called Menstruation, Women's Supreme Power to Create and Hold Life. And just so they know that a woman's period is not coming from her colon, where feces are stored. It's coming from a clean womb where life begins. And it has no smell, not unless you're having your period and for the whole day, and then you go to bed and you wake up in the morning. Of course you're going to smell. But you shower morning when you wake up and evening when you're going to bed, there's no smell at all. And if you can pass your feces during the day and you wash your hands and you prepare food for your family, why can't you do that when you have your period? Feces have bacteria in it. Your period does not have any. It's clean. And the only way it comes out is because the egg was not fertilized. For the flesh to be turned into, to grow, to accommodate the spirit that the Almighty sends in it. Mm-hmm. Because man cannot create the spirit. We were given the power, the ability to create the flesh. And so about 3 months or so, in a woman's womb, he sends the spirit, and that is the time that you will feel movement in your womb, the baby moving. We cannot make the spirit, only the flesh. So there's women are going through hell on earth. And it's only because they can reproduce. It's a grudge going against creation. So that book is there to enlighten people about menstruation, what it is, and the things that we're doing today in terms of the gay community. I mean, if that is not horrible, what is? If that is not horrible, what is? You're penetrating a man's anus where feces are stored, and you can come out and go into the fridge. Go into your fridge? Feces has bacteria in it. A woman's menses don't. And, just so the world knows, I'm not afraid. You have to pass through the creator of heaven and earth to get to me. I am not afraid. And I notice that anybody who talks about the gay community, the whole world is like they're coming down on them, but I will be waiting and praying. And you have to pass through him to get to me.
Well, you definitely have every single right to speak your mind and whatever you believe. And
but it doesn't seem like that in this era. Where Lucifer is trying to kill life.
Like to say, you gotta just do your thing,
Yeah, I'm doing
it. You can't watch no face, you can't really watch what other people are thinking or what other people have to say, because the world is pretty much in a handbasket when it comes to whatever doctrine, whatever the world is doing. The majority of people are in that handbasket heading in that same direction. But it takes a lot. It takes that your spirit. It takes your difference. It takes your faith to step out and actually stand firm on what you believe in and not waver and not be afraid to even speak it, because
I don't care what they want to do. All I'm saying is that it's not who is in front of me, but who is in me. And I'm comfortable speaking on these topics. And if they're going to walk on women, I'm going to have to tell them the truth about what's happening in their community, that they should be watching, and that is unclean more than anything else. And that is why the Creator destroyed Sodom and Gomorrah, because of what was going on there.
Definitely. So the menstruation book you have out, and then you also have the book that I was so pleased to be gifted, guys.
You're very welcome.
And it's
my journey from Jesus Christ to the almighty black power that creates and destroys. Because that was a part of my culture, the Christ and Lord and God. And I never got an answer until I called on Jesus, the Almighty, from my soul. And he just comforted me and said, I'm going to do battle for you. Battle. But there are some people out there that are his. He said that he's coming back for the remnant to take across to the fourth generation. And the remnant to me is like you have a loaf of bread and you finish the whole loaf and the crumbs that are on the table. That's what he's coming for. So I'm not looking for the whole world to embrace what I'm saying. Because some people, even though they're not benefiting from this Christianity, they're defending it and will die for it. So, those ones will not be saved. If you have to wait for him to see the truth, I mean, it's sad, really sad. But he's going to give everyone 1,000 years of peace and rest. 1,000 years.
That's it? Just 1,000? Not eternity?
No, eternity is the one that the ones that are going across will be in eternity. the ones that are going across for the fourth generation. But for every race, every man, every class, every color, every creed, he's coming to give you peace and decency and justice. But deep down, he knows the ones who don't like him. He knows. You're going to see some people who have died so many years ago. You're going to see them walking on the street in their flesh, because he's going to call them back. He will call them back, as he called Lazarus from the grave. You know, and for sure the Romans are coming back. They are not going to escape at all. This is war. You're going to kill the creator of heaven and earth and get away with it? No.
Definitely a lot for us to think about. I want to thank you so much for coming on here and just sharing your story with us, your powerful findings, and then breaking it down for us. You know, giving us the play-by-play. Sorry, what were you going to say?
Oh, I was just listening to you.
Okay. No, I was saying, like, I appreciate you coming on. I can't wait to actually finish this book because, like, as I mentioned in the beginning, I wouldn't have been able to ask you all of these questions to see where your mind is, to be so engaged, you know what I mean? After I've already read the book, because I would have already had all the facts. I may not have remembered to ask the certain questions, you know? So that's why I do it the way I do. But before I let you go, I just want to know if you happen to have any quotes, any Bible verses, anything that you kind of go by on a daily basis, something that speaks to you that you'd like to leave us with.
Fast and pray frequently. Call on the Almighty and form a relationship with him. Show love on a daily basis. Give respect and you will get respect. Think positively and show love to all. So that's my quote.
And you know what? Now that you're saying fast, I'm like, you know, it's... I really wanted to ask you about that. I wanted to just, if you can please let us know the importance of fasting.
Fasting is connecting. It's connecting to the Almighty spiritually. We have to leave out what's of the flesh, everything of the flesh. That's why we don't eat during that time. But you can have juices, like fruit juices, to take you through. But eating is forbidden during fasting, or you've broken the fast. I remember on I fasted today too. I fast every Mondays and Tuesdays, and I have fruit juices, or you can have vegetables like, you know, salads and stuff. For example, if you're not healthy and you have to eat, you make your salad with beans and season your salad and stuff. But for me, I'll have fruit juices if I'm thirsty and water. And I remember us going into the internet on one fast, and his voice says, low battery.
Oh.
Is
I can still hear you, but we can't see you. So we'll keep it going.
Okay. And his voice said to me, don't break the fast. So this is why it is important that we don't break the fast. We just go, but it when you communicate with him through fasting, it is simply amazing. Simply amazing.
Okay.
Yeah.
And that's super powerful. The results that you get from fasting is definitely super powerful, and it brings you closer to the Almighty.
And it's important that you I'm trying to put this thing back in. It's important that you write your petitions during that time. If you have something that's bothering you, write
it down, like write it down on a piece of paper?
Yes. Oh, really? Well, you write it like you're writing a letter, or you just write what's bothering you, and like write your heading, right?
Mm.
And under that, you write what you just set out what's bothering you. From that heading, you develop your conversation with him, and he answers. He
Okay.
answers. It's like this lady that was always, I feed the birds and the squirrels and the ducks and put food in the bushes for the ones that sleep, the nocturnals who sleep during the day and they come out at night. And there's this woman that's always there, standing at a spot. And I fasted and petitioned. I said, Jesus, is she trying to hurt the little ones that I'm trying to feed? Because she was saying that they were a nuisance to the community. And I told her, I said, look, we are in their territory. If we can't accommodate them in their own home that the Creator gave them, then leave. We're not supposed to be here. We're in the mountains. It's their homes.
Mm-hmm.
And I fasted and asked the Almighty, if she's trying to hurt. And he said, no, she wasn't trying to. So I dropped it. But she's always there watching me feeding them. So
She's
we tend.
inspired by you. Sometimes we we don't know. She's
Yeah.
probably looking at you and saying, "This woman is dedicated to supporting these people."
Yeah. Yeah.
She's
I
inspired by you.
yeah, I love them so much. They're a part of us. In fact, animals were sent to this world on the earth before us to prepare for us. And I don't think they should be consumed as food. If your food run from you or it cries before you eat it, it doesn't want to be eaten. Vegetables don't cry. They wither and dry up if you don't eat them, because the vegetables and fruits, everything from the plant kingdom was given to man to eat as food. While
Yeah.
if you eat flesh, it harbors bacteria into your body. Flesh harbors bacteria. And these things are what are attacking our hearts. The people, they say you have a heart attack. Well, your heart can't attack you. It's what's in your body that's attacking your heart. So if it runs from you, don't eat it. And I'm guilty because I was a terrible meat eater. My mom told me, look, you should marry a butcher the way you love to eat meat. And now when I go into the supermarket, I have to stay away from the area where they have the flesh, the dead flesh. It stinks like hell. It's like I want to vomit.
Wow.
And in those days when I was a flesh eater, I never smelled it. I mean, couldn't wait to go home to cook it.
Mm-hmm.
So I am, sorry for a lot of people that don't want to stop eating flesh and eat from the plant kingdom. But I was one of them, and I can sympathize with them. But little by little, first I became a vegetarian. So vegetarian, you eat most vegetables and you will eat some meat. But now I'm a vegan.
Wow.
I don't eat flesh at all. Everything from the plant kingdom, and just smelling the flesh in the fridges in the supermarkets, it's like, oh, can't stand it at all. Can't stand it.
Yes.
So
Wow. How did that transition? How long was that transition for you?
from
From like
vegetarians,
vegan to
yeah, from
from
vegetarian
vegetarian to
to
vegan. Sorry.
vegan. Well, I
Mhm.
became a vegetarian in 2008, and somebody said to me, I was eating fish only.
Mm.
And this guy said to me at work, fish is also a form of flesh.
Yeah.
And I just meditated on it. And Jesus' voice said, throw out flesh, throw it out. In 2014, I became a vegan. And my life has changed so much. As a teenager going to high school, I was on medication during my period. There's pain all throughout my body. And now that I'm middle-aged, there's no pain in my body. No pain at all. I wash all my organs like twice a year. And the energy I have now, I didn't have it then.
When you say you wash your organs, what do you mean? You like do a washout?
I have a herbalist that has herbs for every organ in your body.
Wow.
For your brain, for your liver, for your lungs, for your kidneys, and your intestines. I remember I couldn't kneel during my young years to pray because of the pain in my knees. And now I don't have a problem.
Wow.
So those are all germs and bacteria that were in my body. And now that they're not gone, because if I were perfect, I would be immortal. When they're gone out of your body, you won't feel pain. If someone pinches your body, your skin, you won't feel it.
Wow.
Immortals don't feel pain. They feel emotions. And that is what Jesus is saying, that the names they're calling him, and the things that they're doing and worshiping these idols and from Christianity, he really feels bad about all that we're doing, all that. But he's coming to give us another chance. Those who will allow themselves to be retrained and taught, and he's coming to give us another chance. Yeah. So
I feel as though we're going to have to do a part 2 for this. After I finish the book, I know now I'm going to have a million more questions for you.
Yeah, because most of what's in the book you never asked.
No.
Most of what in the book, because I was
yeah, no, because this is the way that it has to be done.
Yeah.
We need to start off because the book is thick. There's absolutely no way that we're going. This is the beginner. So people want to get to know who you are, why you started the book, why you decided to go ahead and write this book. Now they have the background. We're going to definitely dig deep in part 2 about the content of the book, what's going on inside of the book, the history, where you came from, all of the different little things, the food, the everything that you've incorporated into this book. We definitely want to break it down. So we will reconvene for part 2 on this one for sure.
Okay, no problem. No problem.
Yes, no.
I love to talk about the Almighty.
Oh my, I just appreciate you. I appreciate you coming out with your real and your rawness and just giving us your version, your truth, It's important. It's very important. So thank you.
Yeah. You're very welcome. And thank you for having me.
Yeah, not a problem.
When Jesus gets here, people are just going to follow him. He's so amazing. Amazing.
Yes.
And it's even, he walked on the street for me to see him. But as you said, you never read the book, so you couldn't go into all of that. Because I noticed the questions were not really in line with the book that I wrote. So, but he walked to me on the street.
Yeah.
And there was someone with me that screamed, "Who the hell is this?" And he just sort of lowered his eyelid, and I bowed because he showed me that he was Jesus, but he never showed the other lady. But he appeared to me while someone else was standing to show me that, look, I'm not seeing things. He's really there. He's really there. So, all as you said, we can do a part 2 on it, but there are a lot of stuff that people need to know that's in that book.
Definitely, definitely. I'm
Yeah,
excited about it. I'll definitely be reaching out shortly. Um,
yeah,
I'm not too far from finished, so once
yeah.
I am complete in a few
Hmm.
weeks, we'll definitely circle back and schedule something else so that we can get back
Yeah,
online and
yeah,
chat more about it.
yeah. Yes, yes,
Mhm.
yes. Really, I'm really looking forward to that. And if we could do something on menstruation too, so
That's
that,
really what I wanted, because we didn't really get into the menstruation book, but that's
yeah,
what you were touching on is huge. So
yeah,
that's a big, big part of
yeah,
making sure that we're not
yeah,
only aware for ourselves as grown
yeah.
women, but teaching the youth,
Yeah,
the
I've
importance.
yeah, I've compared the heavenly bodies to the pregnant stomach of women, and you would know
Hmm.
the difference. I mean, the same thing, Mother Universe is so pregnant right now, because not only with the heavenly bodies, but what's inside the creation that
Hmm.
she's carrying, because they're pregnant mothers on the earth, and the
Yeah.
universe is carrying the earth, you know.
Hmm.
And I compared a picture of looking at Earth from space and a baby in a pregnant woman's stomach. And
Mm.
Earth looks as though it's carrying a baby. It
Well, you
looks
know what?
as,
Mother Nature, we don't
yeah,
we don't know where these terms come from, right? They
yeah,
may have been misconstrued along the way, but
yeah,
there's a significance to a lot of the
yeah,
things that we say. So yeah,
yeah, yeah,
huge. Hmm.
yes.
All right, so we've got a lot to dig into, guys. So I just want to
Yeah.
thank everybody for joining us today on What's the 411 right here, exclusive interview with this fabulous author, Ionie Bonnie. So let everybody know the names of your books and where on Amazon they could pick it up.
Okay. Amazon, it's Kindle. It's published through Kindle. And if you go into amazon.ca and you type in the name of the books, you will see one of the children's books are Wash Your Hands regularly. It prevents germs that can kill you. And one of them is Brush Your Teeth regularly for a beautiful, dazzling smile. And Menstruation, Women's Supreme Power to Create and Hold Life. And this Black Power book as My Journey from Jesus Christ to the Almighty Black Power that creates and destroys.
Mm.
Yeah, Stephen Hawkins is the name I wanted to remember, this great American scientist that says everything comes out of the black holes in the universe. A brilliant scientist. Yeah. Everything comes out of the black hole. So there is no God or anyone up there saying, let there be light and let there be this and let there be that. That's, I don't know where they got that from. It's just this great power, this blackness that is propelled by the Spirit of the Almighty
Mm.
that become all things.
Okay.
The Spirit becomes all things you can think of, all things. And it's still exploding. There are lots of explosions in space right now. Lots of explosion. It doesn't stop. Lots
Mm.
of explosions. So, the Bible, I have seen the Bible to be a weapon of destruction. It tells you, if someone hits you, turn the other cheek. You have to suffer persecution. I mean, if Jesus came and gave us the laws and the way he died, that's top persecution. I mean, why should we suffer again
Mm.
when he did it for us? I don't believe in it. And he does not support persecution. If he wants you to do something for him, if he has a job for you, he will put you through training, and the training is very intense. Like me, I cried through it. And he kept comforting me and saying, I wound and I bind up, you know. But if he has a job for you, it's going to be very intense, but it never puts you through persecution. Never. And never will. He's not a masochist, you know. He's not someone who indulges in pain and suffering. No.
Yeah. And it's a lot of research, it's a lot of thinking outside of the box and moving away from what we were normally taught, right? Because
Yeah.
this is the doctrine that we were raised with, turn the other cheek.
Yes.
And
Yes.
he was persecuted, so expect to be persecuted
Persecuted. And no,
and such like that.
it
So
doesn't make sense.
yeah, there's a
If
there's a
he did
lot
it
that
for us, if
yeah,
he
there's
did
a
it for
lot
us, why
that
should we? Yeah.
we don't need to be dealing with, but I feel like
Yes.
we don't know, right? We
Yeah.
don't know.
Yeah. Yeah.
So it's
Yeah.
we suffer because of the lack of knowledge.
Lack
So
of knowledge.
that's
Yes.
all it
Yes.
is. And
And
I again, hmm
unfortunately, the whole world is entertaining that philosophy. You know,
right.
the whole world. You have to go through persecution. They even have a song in the black churches, persecution we must bear, trial and crosses in our way. The hotter the battle, the sweeter the victory. This is
Yep.
stupidity. It is stupidity.
This has been working in the Christian world
Yes.
forever, right? So this is the
Yeah.
doctrine that they've been working with. It's the doctrine that
Yes.
works. It keeps people wherever they are because people are they're not as open to trying to find things out for themselves.
Yes. And
They're
they're
super
very
willing.
humble,
Yeah.
so humble. It's like so docile,
Hmm.
because they believe that they have to suffer persecution, and they believe that we came here to die, to live and to die.
Yeah.
And that is not true. Man was created immortal, and
Hmm.
immortals don't die. It's what we eat, what we put in our bodies, what we think that's killing us.
Mm. Wow. Well, you know what, guys? We could definitely be here for another couple of hours. You know what I mean? But
Yeah.
for now, I just want to thank you so much. I honestly
Yeah.
appreciate you taking the time out to share with me, to give me this book, to meet with me, to
Yes.
talk to me, and to share your story with everybody. Honestly, I
Uh,
do appreciate you, and I'm
mhm.
really looking forward to our second meeting where we can talk
Yes. Well,
and
I'm looking
discuss a little
forward
bit
for
more.
it too. And thank you for having me and for your patience.
Oh, not a problem at all. It is what it is. We've got to support each other how we can, you
Yeah.
know?
Well, may the creator stay with you and guide you. And please remember to call on him. Call on the creator. We cannot fight these spirits alone because we can't see them.
Mm.
We can't fight them. They possess one movie that I suggest that Jesus brought across to me to watch to see how they move within human beings is a movie called Fallen by Denzel Washington and John Goodman. Did you watch that
I'm
movie?
not laughing because it's a first of all, Denzel Washington is like one of the best actors ever.
Yeah,
And then second, that's one of my favorite movies. I've watched that movie a
really.
million times
I
over
bought the
since it
movie.
came
Me
out.
too.
Since it came
Me
out, and
too.
that movie is real. That
It's
movie
real.
is
You
real.
see how the
Yeah.
demons, how the spirits possess other people
Yeah.
to go after and
From
got
one
them killed.
second to the next. They
Yes,
could be
to the
possessed in a
next.
second and not in another.
Exactly.
It's
So
crazy.
when he was just teaching me and training me, he
Yeah.
sent me to get the movie. And it was
Mm.
on it was on sale too for little and nothing,
Yeah.
you know, for little and
Yeah.
nothing. And I can't stop watching it. If I have
Yeah.
a visitor, I have to put the movie on for them to watch to see how these evil spirits move
It's real.
and
It's
set up
definitely
man,
that
set
movie,
up
and it's from like
mankind.
the 90s too, like 96 and
Yeah.
98, something like that.
My goodness. I
Definitely
can't
a
get enough. I
huge,
cannot get enough of that movie.
huge. That's the truth.
Yes.
That movie is the truth
It
right
is
there.
the truth. It's the truth.
It
It's the
is.
truth.
It is. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. We've got to get together and watch the movie.
Yeah. I would love that. I would really love that. I would really love that.
Oh my gosh. All right.
Yes.
Thank you so
Yes.
much for joining.
Thank
I
you very
appreciate
much.
you.